Hi everyone, Mature Simmer here. Welcome to a map tour of Prairie Farm, Michigan. This is a 4X map, so let's take a peek at what we've got here. So I'll start as I always do with the description the author's given us. This is Welcome to Prairie Farm, Michigan 4X. The map represents actual size of a real-life location in Michigan. The map terrain closely matches this location, as well as the field layouts and ditches. Map has 23 fields ranging from massive to insane, consisting of a total of 3,875 acres. So this is a big farming map, is what I'm taking from that. There is one main farm located on the map, along with other buyable areas with buildings you can use. You must buy the land before you can use or sell the buildings. There are 100 wooden toys, 5 sugar beets, 5 small model Massey Ferguson 1155 tractors, and 1 special collectible to be found on the map. There are 3 sell points where you can sell all of the base game crops and products. There are no production buildings, but there is plenty of room for your own to be placed. There are no forest areas. However, you can plant your own trees if you want. There is a wood sell point on the map. Map has a custom growth calendar. The terrain on the map is mostly flat, with some ditches to navigate. The relight environment lighting from Such Sneak has been implemented. Alfalfa crop has been added and integrated with animals. Precision Farming custom soil map added, consisting of silty clay loam and sandy loam. A custom sugar beet piler factory for increased realism in sugar beet harvesting. When owned by the player, the piler will give you tear dirt. Return the dirt to the field and dump it. Dirt piles can be leveled and will disappear when using any field working implements. Beets are sold in-game every hour on the hour. If the player does not own it, it will function as a normal sell point with no tear dirt. Net wrap with an American flag for round bales of straw, grass hay, and alfalfa hay. Soybeans on rows and some crop textures altered for more realistic look. Enjoy the map and have fun. So, a lot there. And I do like maps like this where the authors clearly put in some time to go ahead and, really think things through and give us an experience that is a little bit different. So it looks like we spawn here on our farm, which looks like it's right across from a sell point, and maybe our equipment is sitting over there and we have to move it over because there's a lot of things on the map there, but we'll look at that when the time's right. So starting out here in the PDA, just the base look of what it looks like. This is the map. Again, it's based on a real-life location, so obviously this is an area that really likes well-defined kind of square rectangular fields for the most part. Obviously there's cutouts here and there for buildings and other locations, but other than that, it looks like it's pretty square. So if I switch to the farmland mode, you can see as a starting farmer, you actually own quite a bit. You own 3 fields here. So let's just quickly pop into these. 155 acres, 137, and 304 acres. Basically 305 with rounding. So you've got a lot available to you. And you can also see they're all above expected yield potential. So you've got some of the prime farmland. So we've got some really large fields. You can see $4 million for this 515 acre field. There's a 351 acre field for almost $3 million. So as they said, large to insane, because really smallest field here I think would be 9. We'll take a look at the field calculator map in a second and that'll tell us. So if we take a look here, so yeah, you can see 5 is 204, and these are hectares. So again, if you recall, this was, we were 304, 305 acres. So you'll have some conversions there to do if you're looking at things, but You know, you need a lot of material to work these fields. So as I said at the top of the episode, big farming for certain. So let's stick with the PDA and look at what we've got as points on the map or places we can interact with or sell. So here's the sugar beet piler that they mention that you can own and then create dirt for you. Grain Silo South, Prairie Farms Farmers Market, and another Prairie Farms Farmers Market, and then we have an animal dealer up here. Other than that, as they said, nothing else on the map, so very sparse. The biggest miss, in my opinion, that I notice that I always talk about when maps don't have it, there is no position to buy fuel. So I do think that it's important to have that on a map for folks. The rest, sure, makes sense to place, but it's a bit of a challenge when you can't buy fuel and you've got to deal with placeables immediately, or don't realize it and you start working and suddenly you're needing fuel and you've got nowhere to go for it and you've got to stop your gameplay and go do something else. So I'd like to have seen that, but other than that, they've been pretty clear on what we've got here. So the next thing we'll take a look at is this custom crop calendar that they talked about. So you do not have early spring planting of grain crops. Those look like they get planted toward the late fall, basically kind of winter. They're not winter crops because you can't harvest them, but you're waiting on that full cycle. And you can see how the other crops interact and how they're created, and then also obviously the custom alfalfa that they mentioned. So as far as places to sell things, let's just take a peek down here. It looks like for the most part, other than for the specialty crops like grapes and olives, that's what I'll call them here, you've got a couple sell points. Sugar beet, obviously because of the sugar beet piler, you've got several options. You can go ahead for all the base game items. Now we're getting into some of our production items here. So yeah, nothing that doesn't have a sell point. Basically looks like the Prairie Farms Farmers Market will let you do everything. The animal dealer also takes alfalfa and alfalfa hay. So another thing that I normally don't take a look at, but this author says they have a custom soil map, obviously unless you remember the base map and how it would overlay this. Not necessarily easy to tell, but just showing you here what your soil structure is for the fields that you get in New Farmer mode. All right, and just out of curiosity here, wanted to take a look at the contracts, and as you can see, you've got some big money available if you want to work contracts on this map, simply because you've got really large farms that you're taking care of. But I could only imagine the length of time it's going to take you if you don't have equipment to, with one harvester, one tractor, to go ahead and harvest 344 acres of oats. Good news is you're taking it off of field 22 and taking it to the sell point right at the edge. But imagine harvesting field 5, which looks like, goodness, it has sugar beets. That would be a bit of work. Alright, so I did verify most, if not all, of this equipment is the farm equipment. So you'd have to obviously come over and move it over. But you've obviously got storage locations over there. So you can see we've got several sheds that you can put things in. Looks like we've got 3 large sheds there. Nice thing is we've got this Mahindra, so I think we're going to use that later for our tour. So to avoid any errors in identifying what we own, rather than try to walk around and hope we see what we see, we'll just look at the list here. So we've got 3 large tractors, John Deere 940/70 RX 517 horse, 940/20 462 horse, and an 8 RX 357 horse. So definitely a big grain farm. Got a Mack truck. JD X9 harvester with 16,200 liters of capacity. The Rubicon sprayer with the giant 48.5 meter working width. Got ourselves the JD mule that we saw that we'll use in our tour, and then also a pickup. Wilson pace setter trailer to move crops. 15.2 meter JD header. 12 meter corn header. 14 meter cultivator. And then the speed tiller, the big wide plow. And then we've got good size seeder, 15 meters. And a 17.8 meter planter. This one allows to seed directly. Obviously the other one does not. And then we've got the fertilizer spreader. Looks like we might have the extended discs on it. And then the header trailer to go ahead and move those headers around as you need to. So, given how big our farm is, I'm already going to take this thing and I'm going to use that to kind of go take a look at the starting farm here. So, obviously it's a John Deere dealer, so makes a little more sense as to why we've got JD equipment. Even our pickup truck is painted green back there. So again, we've got the house with the sleep trigger. I opened this shed right when I started up. So just a lot of empty space for storage. Got both of these. I think, once again, yeah, you can look in there, just big empty expanse. Okay, it looks like we got a workshop in that one. So we can go ahead and take things in and work them. Alright, so that building is across the street and is not ours. So I was just trying to take a look. So you've got a little bit of space here. Obviously, you can put up some silos in this space. Kind of build out the farm with additional things if you want. Because honestly, between, well, maybe with the 3 buildings, that's a lot of equipment over there. You can see how much space it takes up just sitting there parked kind of side to side. It would take every bit of those 2 buildings, because I'm not quite sure how much space we've got. We'll take a peek in here, because, you know, that door, like, maybe I ate too much. I don't know. I can't get in. So, yeah, this is more a workshop space. Obviously, it's not entirely. It may function that way. Let me close this door, because now I can't walk. Alright, so looks like we've got an unfinished room here. What do we got upstairs? Man, I can't get up there either. Well, oh, there we go. Alright, so just some shelves and so forth, so nothing too exciting. I really don't mean to be trapped here, but alright, we'll just get out here. But yeah, you can figure out if it's worth navigating around in that building, but tight quarters there for sure. You know, and then we've got these fields. I'm gonna assume, but that's always dangerous, so let me hop out, that these are just got nothing in them. Correct. And yeah, it looks like 14 over there by the shop starts out with oats. Alright, so the other thing, just to verify, but you can in fact sell the items that are on the farm. You know, and they mention that if you buy other things, you'll be able to do that. Those are really the buildings you've got. So if you don't like this setup, you're obviously free to remove it and do what you'd like. Alright, so at this point, go ahead and move around the map. I'm thinking that building, wow, well, it needs to be fertilized if you can, although it's ready to harvest, so you're going to have some things cut out. Technically that building is on our property, So should be able to do something with it. Alright, we are unable to select it, so it's either not on our property or that one is not sellable. Yeah, actually, if we take a look, it looks like that actually is cut out, and we can't click on it and sell it and purchase it or anything. But these other locations are some of the farms they were talking about, that if you buy them, you'd then have some options to run some buildings or any buildings that may appear on them. Right, so you've also got cutouts for the utility poles, which you could see in the other map as well, but things, you know, will work around there. But pretty basic. I'm going to speed up our movement a little bit. This map is pretty large, so trees giving you some borders. Pretty basic, nothing fancy there. I think you can. Oh, that is a field there. I was going to say, I knew there was a number 3. I'm like, you can buy that, but you can. All right, so this looks like you've got some animal pens if you buy that. Or wait, this is the animal dealer. Never mind. That's right, but here you've got some sheds and so forth, so this was an area you could buy. Now this one, you've got, you know, 4 garages, including 3 decent sized ones, if you'd rather that be your starting point. Here's a little bit of the Midwestern farm with perhaps a fermenting silo, or that's just a silo. And again, a lot of fields. So this is field 5 over here. So this is that giant sugar beet field. Again, another location here that you can work with, and yet another where this one has 5. So you got 3 buildings, 4 buildings, 5 buildings. So depending on what you want to do, here are the ditches. It looks like there's some pass-throughs in certain areas, so they did talk about the ditches. We might or might not see those as we drive around. Again, this is a big map, so not quite sure how much on the driving tour we'll do. I see, so these are ditches in the middle of the field. I did see those on the mini-map, kind of wondering why they were cut out, and now we know. So there's another. And he said these were recreated kind of to honor the reality of the location. He didn't say it was done with satellite imagery, so I'm not sure that that would be the case. And then the sugar beet piler is there. We'll take a look at that. We'll drive over there. And here's our farm. So very open, which is certainly not unlike what you'd expect in the Midwest. Alright, so collectibles are similar to what you'd see. So there's several around here in the yard. I think there looks like there's one sitting there by the door maybe. So they're around. There's another one in the corner. So some are easy to find, I'm sure some are not. Alright, I'm going to do things a little bit out of order here. I'm going to go ahead. I need to be connected to the header to test Courseplay, because it needs to know what we're trying to do. But I can't imagine there's going to be a whole lot of challenge here. Well, I've proven wrong. So it looks like, right, if I pick 15, it picks the entire. I can pick 16 individually. 13 and 14, again, it picks together. Well, then it just depends. So you can kind of get a little bit lucky there. Takes a little bit of time, but as one might expect, it does a pretty good job. You can see again, we've got those islands of the utility poles. It does a good job of defining those. So your biggest challenge is going to be, can you See, now I can't even get it to pick 16 on its own. That's interesting. But the biggest challenge will be, can you get the field you want selected. This being the largest one, go ahead and try to generate a course there. Imagine it's going to take even longer. I would hope it would go this way, but Courseplay sometimes has a mind of its own. Okay, well, unfortunately up here on field 5 it looks like it's struggling, so it may crash on me. No, it finally did finish, but wow, that took the better part of a minute or two. So be aware, and then again, you can obviously change some settings in Courseplay, maybe get something different, or just let it do its thing here. But this is how it's decided to do this field. But as I said, you'll have to see how your fields work. Again, you own 13 and 14, maybe it isn't a problem if you plant them all together. Now those were able to be selected individually, but there doesn't appear to be a way to just select 15 individually. And as I said, you saw 6, there we go. So 16 works, but others not so much. Appears maybe that's the only problem is these down here. It doesn't appear to be bunching up anything else. Even field 3, which is very small in comparison to everything else, seems to be selectable individually. Alright, so you can do Courseplay. We've got an animal dealer, so you can go ahead and buy your animals. So we're going to end the episode with a driving tour. Normally I'll end it with Courseplay. Well, of course we'll have the wrap-up at the end about what I think about the map and just general feel and so forth. But let's head down here. We'll see. Head to the sugar beet piler down there. So, the nice thing with the starting farm location certainly is the fact that you are right here and you are able to be near all of the default selling points and so forth. So those ditches are nothing to be trifled with, unlike the Flint map in FS19, for example, where you could drive through those. Those are not drivable ditches, so in the winter and so forth, you're going to have to keep an eye on things. So this also gives you a good example of the scale. We're not going super slow. It's not a pickup truck, it's 70. But still, at 30, like we could see those sugar beet piles from our farm, but it's taken us a little while to get here. So I think, yeah, this is the road in. So we'll just go over there to get a little bit of the scale and the size of what we've got. I'll tell you, those are pretty fancy pieces of equipment for certain. So it looks like you drop off there. You could unload, I assume, the tear dirt if you own that. Alright, so you could buy it for $15,000. We'll go ahead and do that just so that we have it. Alright, and there you go. Sugar beet tear dirt. So yeah. So it looks like you'll put in sugar beets and then you're going to get sugar beets, and as it said, 275 liters of tear dirt out of every 10,000 liters of sugar beets. So short of putting it on the field as it talked about, I'm not entirely sure what else you'd really be doing with it, but you can see you've got some of the other sell points spread around. So basically here, there's a dump point there, also a pallet sell point. So that's kind of your main, and that's the Prairie Farm Market, I'm pretty sure, if I recall. And then just a lot of fields of of everything. So, I did want to take a peek here, because this is alfalfa. So this was the one alfalfa field that starts out. So you can see that's in a growth state. It's right next to your farm. So if you really wanted to expand your holdings, you know, you could swap fields, you could just buy it and do that as well. Or you could just plant alfalfa yourself, I assume. So we've covered kind of all the uniqueness of the map, that's for sure. So I think, I just don't know how intriguing this will be to drive, because it's just a long drive, and as you can see, it's a very straight drive. It's what you'd expect in areas like this, but you'll go ahead and just keep going, and even though we can see those buildings, I am guessing it's going to take a little bit of time. So I'm going to deviate a little bit here, because I'm not going to bore you with driving through rectangular fields down straight roads. I think you've got an idea. I think this driving tour has done everything it can, but we're going to keep going while I kind of finish up and wrap up with how I normally end my map tours. Of would I play this map? Is this a map that, you know, what are my feelings on it and so forth? So certainly I think it does have a draw of just the way it's laid out. I think you're not going to be dealing with any distractions. Like if you're looking for big farming and, you know, other than you've got these ditches here, so you can't, for example, turn on this side of the field. So that will probably dictate, like if I owned, well, this is my field, I think. This is field 15. Like I should be working at north-south and turning on the ends, and hopefully I don't have a ditch at the far end. You know, and field 14 is here, so you're getting an idea for just the scale of these fields that we're talking about. And it's pretty substantial. But other than that, like if you're just looking to work, and more importantly, you know, put 4 or 5 harvesters on Courseplay and just let them do their thing. No, see, we've got ditches on the north end here too, so you definitely would have to do turnaround on the field. And if you're using crop destruction and things like that, you're gonna have to plan some things out, I think. So definitely poses some challenges. So we're by the next field here. And then we're coming up on that farm in the corner. The animal dealer's going to, I think it's there because it's not a building, it's just that pen. That may just be the profile we see from the ground. No, now it's finally drawing out. It's interesting that the buildings were visible from that far away, but this animal dealer setup was not. So, you know, you got the pens, but there's no animals in there, so I think it would have been nice, again, if the map author had dotted a few cows and sheep around or something. Maybe there's a challenge to doing that. Again, I'm not a map creator, so I may be missing some things. But we're going to pull in here, and I think we'll call it a day for the driving tour, and I think I've, you know, given you the general feedback. But this is one that, I don't know, I might give a go at some point if I'm looking for something big. You know, right now I'm doing Green Valley, Nebraska with the Mega VIP, but this could be a good alternative as well. So traffic on this east-west road as well, so you also can see if you've got things turned on, but there's no city here. You can see pretty far, which is, I think you'd expect, you know, being from the Midwest myself. It's not uncommon that you'll look way out and see buildings like that on the horizon. So some of those are our farm, but those silos are not. That's the sell point at the far end by the sugar beet piler. But this gets you pretty close to the other end of the map, although we've still got a ways to go to the tree line. But gives you a feel for what you've got here. So hopefully that gives you a good flare. I'll turn this off. I don't know why I'm leaving the motor running in your ear. I apologize for that. But as mentioned, you know, you'd be able to buy this land and then you'd have access to these buildings and so forth. So now you've got a view of Prairie Farm, Michigan, and you can decide if this is something you want to explore yourself. So hopefully this has been helpful. If it has, I'd certainly appreciate you dropping a like and subscribe so that you can get notified. It also helps with the YouTube algorithm to spread the message to others and help grow our community. So thanks for following along, and I will see you next time.